I was in Hungary as a political military officer at the U.S. Embassy from 1994 to 1997. And if you put yourself back in that time, it was really a time of tremendous change in Hungary. It was still feeling the immediate effects of ending the communist system. We had one free election already, and another one was taking place in 1994. This was also the time that you had the war raging between Bosnia and Serbia and Croatia, and you had the end of that war, the deployment of U.S. troops across Hungary and into Bosnia. That resulted in setting up a couple of U.S. military bases in Hungary, the first time that anyone had done this of a Western country in a former Warsaw Pact country, so really breaking a lot of ground. It was also the time that Hungary went through a tremendous financial crisis, and that needed to be addressed as a matter of stabilizing the economy, and I know the U.S. helped a lot with that. And then finally, another role that I played was working with the Hungarian government and NGO groups about the efforts of Hungary to become invited as a member of NATO. And just as I was leaving Hungary in 1997, that invitation came through the NATO Madrid summit of the summer 1997. Well, Hungary, of course, became a full-fledged member of NATO. And this meant a tremendous amount of a change in the way Hungary looks at its role in the world and the way others look at Hungary. So in the 1990s when I was there, Hungary had priorities of improving relations with neighboring countries, protecting Hungarian minorities abroad, and becoming a part of Euro-Atlantic institutions. Well, by the 2000s, Hungary had achieved these very things. There had been greater protections for minority rights in neighboring countries. It improved relations with Serbia, with Croatia, with Romania, and other neighboring countries. And it had also become a member of NATO and was soon becoming a member of the European Union. So at that point, Hungary's role was different. It couldn't look to its own achievements, but it had to look at what it contributed to our common achievements as NATO and the EU. And so we've seen Hungary take part in operations in Kosovo, in Bosnia, in Afghanistan. We've seen some reforms of the defense establishment and further reforms still going on now that are still necessary. We've seen Hungary become a net contributor to the security and the development of the Transatlantic community, rather than simply worrying about its own ability to become part of that family. In addition to being an officer at the U.S. Embassy in the mid-90s, I also made a tremendous number of friends in Hungary. And they're really from every walk of life. They can be from current government parties, current opposition parties, people from the cultural sphere, people from the sports sphere. It is really a very diverse group of friends that I managed to maintain from my time there. And I also learned the language while I was living in Hungary. And as anyone will tell you, it's not an easy language, but it's also a wonderful language. It's one that is very flexible, allows you to express things in a particular way, and it helps knit a community together of people who speak Hungarian and understand the country. And so I feel that I've been included by Hungarians ever since that time. The relationship with the United States remains extremely strong. We are all part of a single family. We're all democratic countries. We have the same set of core values: freedom, democracy, rule of law, human rights. I think a lot of Americans don't know much about Hungarian history. But when you look back to the revolutions that have taken place, when you look back to 1848, when you look back to the 1956 revolution, there's an awful lot of deep-rooted Hungarian commitment to these same core values of democracy that we all share. And that's the foundation for a very strong relationship with the United States. Hungary's fate is in its own hands, but I think it's great for a country like Hungary to know that it's part of a larger family of countries that share the same set of values and that want to see good both for Hungary and for our larger community as a whole.